Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's Ink It Up tutorial, we're going to do lots of fun techniques, including embossing a background, coloring an embossing folder, I should say. Sorry for the tongue twister there. Okay, we're going to be coloring an embossing folder. I'll talk about the products. We're going to be creating cards. We'll be doing some stamping onto basic white cardstock. And bottom line is this. We are going to turn these pieces of paper, these pieces of white paper, basic white cardstock, into these types of cards. Okay, so that's the bottom line. That's the technique. The techniques you're going to be learning are how to use an embossing folder. It's a really cool embossing folder. It looks better when I show you it with this Bermuda Bay. Hi, Deb. The Bermuda Bay cardstock, because then you can really see what I'm talking about. We're going to take this white cardstock, okay, basic white. We're going to be coloring up the embossing folder. That's what we're going to do first, and we're going to create these textured backgrounds. Then, and we're going to stamp first, because we're just going to stamp while it's flat. You can't stamp onto a piece of cardstock once it has embossing on it, because it won't be flat and it won't be a nice sentiment. Okay, and then we're going to take. Then I'm going to show you something that I showed before, probably about a month ago, when I first got this Butterfly Brilliance. The demonstrators are allowed to order it early. It just became available to customers on March 2nd. But when I was able to get this a month ago, I showed a scan and cut tutorial on my channel, and I showed how to create these stamping masks. So we'll be using these masks. I'm not making the mask again. You have to watch that tutorial to make the mask. But I will show you how, not how to make the mask, because this is you make it out of Mylar. Oh, look, a little hitchhiker. There's some hitchhiker little gems that jumped onto my mask. How cute. Let me get that off of there. Anyway, you're gonna sponge color with these stamping masks. Let me put this little gem somewhere. I save all my little gems. That was by the way, a metallic pearl. I save all that stuff because I use it again. I think it's one of these. Yeah, the same metallic pearls that are on the card. All right, so let me talk about the products as we go. We'll get back to this stamp set. This is the new one, available March 2nd. That's not in a catalog. That's a release from an upcoming catalog. This one's in our catalog now, in our annual catalog. The Ridiculously Awesome stamp set is where we're getting the sentiment from, and it's in this annual catalog, which is good until May. We're gonna have a new catalog. Here, is it May? Hold on, there's new dates. May 3rd. May 3rd. This catalog's good till May 3rd. So not saying that this won't carry over. I don't know what carries over yet. I don't know if this stamp set's going to be in the next catalog or not. So, right? So hey, Pamela, I'm glad you're catching me live. That's cool. So this stamp set, I want to show you there's this little thing inside the catalog. And it says it's a million, it's like a gold million emblem. And what that means is that Rhonda Wade, she's a million sales achiever. So that means she sold $1 million worth of stamps. Is that cool or what? At least, right? Because this was a while ago by the time she designed it. She got to design the stamp set. And it was hand lettered by the husband of the CEO of our company. So she designed it in conjunction. Let's see. See if there's a picture of him. Yeah, there's Sarah's husband. I forget his name. But anyway, he hand lettered this. That means he hand drew it for her with her ideas. Now, I love the sentiments on that stamp set, because really, the reason I love those sentiments is you can just make a whole card just stamping that sentiment. It's so encouraging. It's so beautiful. You don't really have to do much else to it. It takes up half the card. It's your big element. But when you also have these gorgeous butterflies that are going to be accenting that wonderful sentiment, then you have the best of both worlds. So now I'm going to show you the other product we'll use right now. And that other product is, boy, I have a lot of hitchhikers today. Hitchhikers on my catalog. It's this folder, and it doesn't do it justice, does it? This picture in the catalog. This is our mini catalog, good until June. And not saying that this won't carry over, but right now it's good. You can get this till June, and it's called the Painted Texture 3D Embossing Folder. And it looks like this, and that's what we're going to start out using. Okay, is that cool or what? And it reminds me a lot of something in our annual catalog called the Old World 3D Paper Embossing Folder. But this one looks more like paint or like plaster, and the other one looks more like paper. Okay, so this is just a really cool embossing folder. Hey, I got more people joining me. Hello, Millie. Hello, Shirley. And hello, Yvonne. Yeah, now you need, yeah, Yvonne, we need to get everything, right? She's like, now I need to get this. It's like, we need to get everything. I wish I could get the whole darn catalog. All right, so let's ink it up. That's what this series is about. If you're new to my channel, my Ink It Up series is always showing techniques. My Brother Scan and Cut Tips and Tricks series talks about the Brother Scan and Cut tutorials, and then I have just things where I just show things. Sometimes I just show my card swaps. Sometimes I just show my projects. Like my Paper Pumpkin series. I have a Paper Pumpkin series. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe if you like Stampin' Up! Products. I feature them in all kinds of ways. So let's take this embossing folder, and we're going to put the stamping upside up. I'm going to emboss this side, the side that says Stampin' Up! Now you use any embossing folder you have. Open it up like that, and we're gonna color it with Calypso Coral because I want to repeat this project, right? Maybe later in the tutorial, I'll be daring and change colors, but I like to repeat the projects I already know work from my experimentation, and then later on I'll get more daring. In fact, we'll just wipe it off. After I do this, we'll wipe it off with a baby wipe and then let it dry, and then we'll see if we can do something else with it a little bit later in the tutorial. We'll get more adventurous, right? But for now, I don't want to be adventurous. I want to do the same thing I've already done, because I know it works. So this, by the way, we're going to use this stamping block E. So we have to stamp the sentiment first with stamping block E, and then we can ink it up. All right, so I'm going to stamp the sentiment with Bermuda Bay ink. Why? Because that's one of the coordinating colors. The reason I always like to tell you why I chose colors. I'm going to take this out of the package. I chose colors based on, look how giant these sentiments are. It's a cling stamp set. It's beautiful. So peel that off. I tell you why I chose the colors. In this Butterfly Brilliance, which I'll show you the paper for, the Butterfly Bijou or Bijou, whatever everyone tells me I'm saying. I said Bayou before, then they told me it's Bijou. In this designer series paper, Bermuda Bay, this butterfly paper is one of the colors. That's why I'm choosing Bermuda Bay. All right, so we want to ink this up. We want to just get some. These are just pieces of 5 inch by, let's see, 5 1/4 inch by 4. These are just little card pieces. 5 1/4 inch by 4 inches. I'll have it all in the description later. Okay, ink up your stamp. Right, make sure you have it all inked up, and then go like this with your light. Make sure you can see all the shininess, that the ink is, you have good ink coverage. I may have to use my silicone mat, we'll see. Oh, I love it. It came out nice. The first try. Usually I have to stamp onto my mat first. I usually tell you to stamp onto your mat. Definitely when you first get a stamp though, stamp onto your mat first. When you first get a stamp. Don't try to stamp a new stamp right onto paper because the pores have to fill in there. And it's good to use kind of Versamark first when you first get a stamp. I'll just do it in a couple of different spots. We'll move it up a little. The reason is like sometimes the butterfly is so big that I put it down and then I couldn't fit the big butterfly down there. So I'll do somewhere it's up. And why not? I'm going to do a couple more because, you know, when you make cards, my secret is to make a bunch at once. Do the assembly line process. So we'll go ahead and stamp 4 of those. Okay. And notice I hold it for a few seconds. Let the ink, that one got messed up. Let the ink absorb in there. Flip it over if you mess up. And this is basic white cardstock, not the thick one. This is basic white, the regular, like you get 40 in a pack. That's good. So just flip it over if you mess up. You can't see through this paper anyway. Well, unless, the only way you can see through the paper is if you do Stampin' Blends. Okay, next we need to take the Calypso Coral. Okay, we're going to move those off to the side. So definitely stamp those before you emboss them. Let's let them dry. And there's the Calypso Coral. I've already opened it up. I don't know if you saw me open it, but that's how you open a stamp pad. Calypso Coral. Okay. I'm going to move this one away so it doesn't get messed up. So we're going to now take the sponge brayer. This is a sponge brayer. And we're going to ink up the side that has the Stampin' Up! On it. So I'm going to ink up the embossing folder. And you want to get the nice color on there of Calypso Coral. This is bigger. The embossing folder is bigger than this paper, so you want to make sure you just cover up the whole embossing folder. That way the paper's covered. Now, I get asked different times, like, what about coloring it later? Yeah, I color it later too. Color it before so that the ink really gets into your paper and before you emboss. Then color it again after you emboss to get any spots you missed and to make it darker. So you don't have to color it again later. I mean, these are just techniques you can apply to whichever way you want to do it. So I'm kind of covering it so the Calypso Curl is covering the whole thing. Now I need to close this for a second. I'll open it again after I emboss, but my embossing machine is going to take up a lot of room on this table, and I have a lot of inks here. So I'm going to move some of these other. I have a lot of inks that are coordinated with the sweet, and I did want to try. I think I wanted to try the Magenta Madness or the Poppy Parade. I think not the Mango Melody is going to be light, so I don't want to try that one, but I want to try one of these later if we have time, or even this one. I want to try embossing paper as well. The designer series paper. I just haven't tried it yet. There's a lot of things whirling around in my head and I just didn't get to try them yet, but I want to try them. So now what we're doing is we're taking the embossing machine. So I don't know if you can even see this machine, but it's so big I can't really fit it in the camera, but it's the embossing machine. It's just called the Stampin' Cut and Emboss Machine. It's a great thing to put in your starter kit because you get free shipping in your starter kit. Oop, don't want to get. So this is an item that a lot of people put in their starter kit, because it's $120, but it's $120 US, but you can get it for, see, it opens up, there's both sides here. You can get it for $99 with free shipping in a starter kit. That's how a lot of people get this machine. So the machine comes with different plates. We're going to use this plate here. Okay. Hi, Ann, and hi, Sydney. Thanks for popping in. This is this is the base plate. See, we're putting that plate down. I'm just showing you the sandwich now. And for the 3D embossing folders like this is, it tells you what you need. You need plate 1 and plate 4. That's all you need, and that's the sandwich. You're not going to see me roll it through, but I'm going to roll this through the machine. Then we'll ink it up and do it again. So go ahead and put your plate on put their plate there. Put your embossing folder on the plate. Put your ridiculously awesome card you stamp. Make sure you stamp your sentiment first. Hello, Honeybee Stamping Hive. Okay, lower that down. Put your 3D embossing plate on top. And that's it. So you need the sandwiches 1, platform 1, and 4. And now I'm cranking it through. And it doesn't even make any cracking noises. It goes through very, very smoothly. I'm going to do that again a couple more times because that's how I roll. But that's our background. How cool is that? It looks like plaster. The ink seeps all the way in there, and it comes out a little different every time depending on where, the angle you put the embossing folder. So let's do it again. I'm just going to do one more in the Calypso Coral. Then we'll change colors. Then I'll wipe this off and we'll change colors. Well, not the second we won't change colors, but I'm saying I'll wipe it off because it has to dry before I change colors. I don't want to mix ink. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm just going to ink it up again with the sponge brayer. Right? Ink it up. Make it the color. This is Calypso Coral. Do it a few times. Yeah, it is very cool, right? And you could do this with any embossing folder. I've been doing this for years. I mean, just any kind of embossing folder, you can ink it up. And then it looks different if you do the negative side instead of the positive side, or I don't know if you call it negative, positive. It looks different if you do the other side. Let's put that one down. That one doesn't have quite as much ink. Lower it down. And do that sandwich again. And roll it through. Plate number 1, embossing folder. Plate number 4. Shut your ink before you try to do this because you could be rolling it through and you get ink on your shoulder. Not shoulder, on your elbow. I don't know how you get ink on your shoulder. Your elbow. I always get ink on my elbows when I'm doing my tutorials because I touch things with my elbows, and then later on my husband's like, "Why are you covered in ink?" I walk out of my craft room covered in ink. Is that cool or what? So that one came out a little different. So that's so far what we have. Look at that one, had more ink on it than that one. See how they came out a little different? No, the ink's not going to dry in those few seconds. And if it does dry, you could try the spritzer technique. Wouldn't that be cool? Make a more painted splotchy technique. No, it doesn't dry. I just got done rolling it, so it's not dry, it's wet. In fact, look how wet it is. Look at my hands. Look at my hands. It's wet. This ink is wet. It doesn't dry. Didn't dry that quickly. Okay, let me get my baby wipes. So I'm using Huggies baby wipes I'm just trying to clean this off real quick so it can dry, so I can change color in a little bit. That way, if I want to change color and do a different technique with my sponge brayer. Hi, Cheryl. Not brayer, blending brushes, right? See, I'm getting this ink off. That way I don't mix the inks later. So now you see that's wet. It's like, it's going to dry. So let your embossing folder dry before you change colors. In fact, I usually wash it in the sink. I just can't go wash it in the sink right now as you're watching me do this, right? So that's why I'm just brushing it off with the baby wipe. All right, so now we're going to move this to the side and let's do some other stamping. We'll put that there. Put that there. Now we need our butterflies. So for the butterflies, we're going to use the Butterfly Brilliance stamp set. It's already mounted to the Stamparatus. Oh, a piece of hair. I have a lot of hitchhikers today. All right, so this is the Stamparatus. Put that up there, put that up there. The Stamparatus is a stamping platform. Let me change, see. There we go. I have some room there. I have to make, like, the nice thing about that machine is it's portable and you can close it. And it makes more room on your table. So see, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the some cardstock here. All right. And I should have been more prepared. I forgot to make them 6 inches. I only made my cardstock. It's like, oops, I didn't make my cardstock 6 inches. And you need to make it 6 inches. I only made card bases. So in order to use your Stamparatus with this to get the most out of it, you can cut a couple pieces of cardstock at once. One thing I like about our paper trimmer is the lip here. So you can make it exactly 6 inches. See, that's now my paper 6 inches. So now when I ink this up, I'm getting the most out of this butterflies. So this butterfly, before I put any ink on it, let's put this piece of paper down to make sure that the butterflies are going to fit on the paper. See? So we want to make, these are just my extra magnets. Let's put that up there. Maybe where the line is. Nope, nope, not that line. All right, good, good. So that line, that right there is good. I'm going to put this down. That's my magnet that came with the, oops, can't put the magnet there because that magnet is in the way of these magnets kind of break sometimes, so you have to be really careful. That's why I have extra magnets, because my original magnets broke. You can get new magnets from Stampin' Up. They're so heavy duty that they break. Anyway, the magnets, you need the magnet not just to hold this piece of paper down, but you need them because you don't want anything to slip. Especially if you re-ink it up, like you're going to put the ink on the stamp and then you re-ink it and you don't want it to slip. So that's why you need the magnets. All right, so now I'm going to use Memento Black. I'm actually going to sponge color these butterflies, but I'm using Memento Black for the first time. Don't worry if you don't get it all the way inked up real good, because you can do it again. That's what the great thing about the Stamparatus is. It's a stamp positioning tool. You can do so much more than just use it for big stamps. And by the way, we do make a stamping block that's this big. Whatever the highest letter of our stamping block is, it will hold your, if you don't have a Stamparatus, you can get a stamping block to hold your butterfly stamp. I've actually seen some other people talk about getting an extra stamp set to cut apart. I actually like it, the fact that I can make 6 butterflies at once. I'm not getting a second stamp set to cut apart. I don't see the point, but if you want to use, like, I guess there's a point if you want to make these into individual stamps. But to me, I just cut them out all at once. That's the beauty of this stamp set, is that you can cut them out at once. So I'm lowering it down and I'm pushing it. I mean, the fact that you can cut them out at once, then I have 6 embellishments for my cards is amazing. Okay, and then you might have to do it again if it didn't come out all the way. Hi, Tony. And it came out fine. But see, that little part in the middle might be missing a little detail. But don't go inking up the other ones again, just the ones maybe I'm missing a little detail on that one. So I can just ink up that one. I don't need to ink up the whole thing again because the rest are good. I don't want them to be too dark anyway because I'm going to be sponge coloring them. But the nice thing about the Stamparatus is if you mess up, it came out nice. If you mess up, you just do it again because it's in the exact same spot because your magnet kept your paper in the same spot. Let's do that one more time. Only because I'm right here and I have another piece of 6x6 paper already cut. And put it about there, put your magnet down. Right? And then I can sponge color in different colors anyway. I could sponge color one of these in one color, sponge color another one in another color while I'm at it. Okay, so I'm inking up. This is Memento Black ink. Why? This is our most versatile ink. It's great for using with all of our stamping colors, our alcohol markers, our stamping blends. It's just a great ink. It's the all-around ink. I guess because it's sort of like a hybrid ink, it doesn't run. It doesn't run when you use alcohol markers. It doesn't run when you use water-based dye inks. Of course, it'll run if you use watercolors. Don't use watercolors with this. If you're going to use watercolor, use StazOn ink. But we digress. Okay, let's put that. Let's get some more butterflies. Pushing down on the Stamparatus. Okay, I'm happy with that. It's all my details there, except that middle part for some reason. Maybe that one butterfly could use a little more detail. But I don't want them too dark because I'm sponge coloring them, so I don't want them too black. Normally, you could stamp again if you wanted them really black. I just want to make sure I don't miss any detail. Yeah, see, now I got my detail back. So now I'm done with the Stamparatus. Wash this off because this comes off. Look at this. How cool is this? It comes off. So you can just wash this. I've left this on. I've been using it for like the past month or so, or however long I've gotten it. The nice thing about our Stamparatus is it's hinged. You can do a lot of nice backgrounds by moving this. And stamping again and doing different things with different kinds of stamps. But we'll wash that later. I'll wash it later. So we're done with that for now. So now we're going to sponge color. So put this down. And now you need your mask. The one I taught how to make with the Brother Scan and Cut. I made it out of Mylar, and the settings are in that video. I'll link to the video later in the description. So this is a Mylar mask. I made it by doing this. So I know a lot of you are Brother Scan and Cut users that watch my channel. So I'll explain how I made it, and you can go do it. Hi, Pamela. Oh, yeah, double-sided sticky paper instead of the magnets. Yeah, I understand. She's using something else instead of the magnets. All right, so what I did is to make this mask, instead of using an outline distance like I normally do when I cut stamped images, right? I just cut along the line. So I scan this in to the Scan and Cut, and I'd use direct cut. And instead of cutting it out with any outline distance, no outline distance. And instead of cutting it, I ripped the paper back off. I pulled the paper back off, and I put the Mylar in. I put the Mylar in, and that's how I did this. Let's see, do I have my mask upside down? I think it's upside down, yeah. And then you cut the Mylar out. But I did have to change the settings to slow it down and that kind of, and whatnot. So what I'm doing is the mask. The idea of a mask is to protect part of your image while exposing the other part, right? Just like if you wore a mask on your face, protects part of your face while exposing the other part. So that's what a mask is. And so you should tape your mask down so you don't. Once you get it down here, let's tape it so we don't so it doesn't slip. Now I don't need to color the antennae, right, of my butterflies. So that's a good spot to tape because then it doesn't slip. And when you get your antennae lined up, that's how you know your mask is lined up. And just get over the top of it. You can't really see what I'm doing, but get over the top of it. There you go. Oh, that doesn't really help you. It doesn't really tape it down, does it? We'll just tape it down. We'll tape one of my butterflies down that I'm not going to color. How about I won't color this top one just yet? There we go. Because when I tape the antennae, it doesn't really. There's no hole there. It doesn't hold the tape. And I'll tape this bottom one, and then I'll lift them off and sponge color them in a minute. All right. Good enough. Good enough for the purpose of this tutorial. Okay, so it's pretty aligned. So I'm going to take this is my Bermuda Bay ink, and this is my. That's called a Stampin' Blend sponge. And unlike a brayer, when you use Bermuda Bay ink, or when you use the Stampin' Blends on a mask, tap it off onto your Mylar first. Because look how much ink comes off in here. Tap it off in your Mylar to get it to be a little bit lighter like a brayer. And then you can sort of tap, tap, tap. This one's not a rolling motion like the blending brush. It's more of a tap, tap, tap. And then you rub. First you tap, tap, tap to get the ink on there. And then you can rub it around. See? Now I can blend it. I just wanted to get the ink on there first before I blend it. And now all the ink is going just on the butterfly and not all out in the margins and not all around the butterfly. Okay. And I'll do this one too. Tap, tap, tap. So tap, tap back on your ink. Tap on your Mylar. This is washable. You can reuse the mask again. Awesome sauce. And I will color the rest of the butterflies, you know, as well. Because I have to kind of color them now. I can't really color them later because once I die cut them, I can never get the genie back in the bottle. You'll see what I mean. Once you die cut these, good luck trying to align the die later. Now you can just see me do it faster. You know, because there's one die that you can color all these with. Some of them are just going to be darker if I tapped right on it. If you want it to be darker, tap straight on it, right from your stamp pad, right on there. Look at that. You can make it darker by doing that. But if you want it to be lighter, see, I made it darker because I tapped right on it. How do I store my mask? Lisa, it's no big deal. You just store them in the back in the bag they came in. Here's the bag. I store them all in there. All my masks from all the stamp sets. Throw them in the bag. You don't have to store your mask any special way. Just throw them in a bag. They're just plastic, right? I have a whole bag of them. I'll link to the Mylar material I use. That you can order the Mylar material. Now I'm just pulling off that tape. Oops. Don't want your paper to slip. Pulling off the tape and doing the last one. I'm holding my hand there. I'm coloring the last butterfly. And we'll do it in Calypso Coral with the brayer and see how much faster it is with the brayer. Now, if you messed up or you got your mask, it slipped a little bit, which it didn't. It looks beautiful. But if it did slip, then just move your mask around and fix it. Also, you can put finger daubers. They're sponge daubers. Put them on your fingers and get in there with wherever parts you missed. Furthermore, if you missed, there's you can wash this off now. See, that's the mask. Furthermore, if you have, say, say you really, you messed it up, but you just tiny little bits, you can take your Stampin' Blends marker and fix it that way. Right? Fix it with the marker. This is just jade. This isn't a Bermuda Bay, but you get the idea. I would just use the marker and fix it, or the regular Stampin' markers. And if you want parts to be darker, use your regular Stampin' markers. This is a Bermuda Bay, and you can get in there if you wanted to make the middle of these darker. Go ahead and color it with your marker, because it's gonna coordinate perfectly with the sponge ink you just did. I tend to not color them yet because I decide what to do with them later. Sometimes I put gems on them. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys are giving each other tips. Yeah, if you want to store with a specific stamp set, but here's the thing. You don't want to store this one with your specific stamp set because, look, you miss out on the opportunity of tapping over here with the extra ink. You miss out on the fact that you're protecting a giant piece of paper. What if you're doing scrapbooking? You could really protect the paper. If you cut this down and fit it inside the box of your stamp set, say, a giant mask. You can do that with your small mask. I do store my little piggy mask. My little favorite stamp set's this little piggy, and I store my little piggy mask in with the stamp set because they're small. But look how this would take up the stamp case. If you put it in the stamp case, and then you wouldn't have the opportunity to have that extra protective area around it. So that's why I don't store this giant mask in my stamp case, because I like the protective Mylar around it. Beautiful. Now we'll just show you one quicker way with the sponge brayer to do it with the Calypso Coral. So we're going to open up the Calypso. That was the Bermuda Bay. And the reason I want to use Calypso Coral is because we just did the back, right? If you just popped in, we did the background in Calypso Coral. I tried to use Mango Melody. No, not Mango. I tried to use Magenta Madness Butterflies on top of this Calypso Coral, and it says it's a coordinating color, but it didn't look right. It only looked right when I used the right kind of, this one looked right. Okay, so, oops. Oh, no, that was Poppy Braid. Oops. That's not Calypso Coral. Let's rub off the Poppy Braid. It's okay if it mixes a little. And these sponge brayers, you can wash them off. It's no big deal. So, good to get our Calypso Coral. Why didn't one of you tell me I was using Poppy Braid? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, here we go. And now I'm going to get my other my other mask. Because make a couple of these, and then you can wash them. But I made a couple of them. This one doesn't have any ink on it yet. I don't want to mix the one I just used for Bermuda Bay. Now this one, since I'm using a sponge brayer, I'm just going to hold it. I'm not tapping, so it's not as likely to slip. So I'm just going to hold it there. And just move my fingers around and just hold it there. because this is not as dark, the ink. So it's more forgiving. When you use a brayer, it's way more forgiving. It doesn't matter because you're not putting a whole lot of ink on it at the same time. So if you mess up, you just move the mask around. Okay, it looks good. Now I'm going to rub it around. See? Now that Poppy Parade got mixed in there. So that's kind of cool though. That's going to be a nice color. In fact, we just discovered a nice new color. Poppy Parade and Calypso Coral mixed together. No time to wash the brayer. Not in the middle of a live tutorial. But what you see what I'm doing? I'm rolling right onto I'm rolling from the ink pad. Here, let me put that right there so you can see it. I'm rolling straight for the ink pad. That looks like some kind of spam just came through my live video, so ignore any spam you see. Yeah, sometimes you see some kind of weird advertisements come through. That is not me because I am not typing anything. I can't type anything. I am crafting. All right, so cool. See how much quicker this is when you use the sponge brayer? And I don't even have to tape it down, nothing, it doesn't slip because it's just very gentle. Okay, now let's lift that up. Close the ink. Wash that off. Lift that up and you have perfect butterflies. All right, so now wait till you see the next part. I mean, if you thought that was cool, it's like, wait till you see the next part. All right, so we're going to open up the machine again. So by the way, that's my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. The sandwich will be, we have our sandwich. This is the bottom plate. Always start with the bottom plate. Then we're using thin metal dies. So you use a thin die adapter. Okay? This is called a thin die adapter. Okay, that's plate number 2. And then we need 2 plate number 3s when we cut metal dies. Okay? These say number 3. Here, I'm just trying to show you. 3 and 3. Okay? Oh, okay. It wasn't spam? Okay. Sorry, I didn't know if it was. Thank you. I'm glad it wasn't spam. Because sometimes I see things that say, I couldn't really read it. I'm glad it wasn't spam. It was just a supportive fan. Yay! Happy, happy. Okay, because sometimes I see, and sorry for the supportive fan, I saw all the icons. And sometimes what happens is I'm watching a live chat and someone says to click on something like, you know, they won or this, that, and the other. And then the people doing the live video are like, hey, I didn't put that there. That wasn't me. That was someone else. Anyway, check out this die. How cool is this die? So it's one single die and you cut all the stamps at once with it. Now this one you definitely need to use painter's tape for this metal die. This is called the Brilliant Wings die. And the way I line it up is I just check all the antennae are lined up and then I line it up. So I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape a couple times to hold that metal die in place. So I apologize to my supportive fan who was not spamming everybody in my group. Thank you, supportive fan. All right. We love supportive fans. We just don't like spammers trying to take advantage of my crafty friends by telling them to click elsewhere, like they won something or whatever. Like I said, I've seen that happen. Hey, it's even happened to me. I've made a comment in the under some stories online, and then all of a sudden it will say you won, and it looks like it's coming from the person who posted the story, and you're like, and then you know, of course it says you won a prize, and then it says put your credit card in, and then it says in order to claim your prize you need to pay for shipping or something. Anyway, even Sarah, the head of Stampin' Up, the company, she said it happened to her fans, and she's like, I would never do a drawing and tell you won a prize in Facebook. If I do a prize drawing, I do host code prize drawings, but I don't ever do like an automatic reply saying that you won something. If I'm doing a drawing, it's me on the other end with the microphone saying, you know, spinning a wheel. But anyway, it happened to the CEO. She said, I did not tell you guys that. So that's what I did. I tape it down. Okay, there you go. And I just put the top plate on there. I'm rolling it through. And see what I'm doing? I'm just rolling it through. Let me just, hold on. This one's a little bit tighter, so I have to really be careful that the thing doesn't snap back on me. because of that. Hear that crunching sound? It's not a bad sound. It's just a crunching sound. It just means that it got in there tight. But if you let go of the handle, it can kind of spring back on you. Look how cool this is. Okay, now, yes, you can cut these out with your scan and cut as well, but I have metal dies that can't do what the scan and cut does. Now, of course, this can, but it can't do it this fast and this accurately all at once. So I think in this case, I'm going to tell you what tool is the right tool for the job. And in this case, cutting 6 butterflies at once is amazing, and you're going to do it way faster than you would with the scan and cut, right? And not to mention these other kinds of dies that you can't do with the scan and cut, which are like really, really detailed. Okay? Yep, Lisa, that's a good idea with your Mylar. Make a hole in them and punch them through. Okay, so those were the 6 butterflies for the Calypso Coral. Now we'll do 6 with the Bermuda Bay. And technically, you probably could have cut out, if you say you put this, remember, going back to the Stamparatus for a moment. When you were using your Stamparatus, if you would have put that paper in the exact same spot, the 6x6 papers, and you would have stamped it in the same spot, you could have die cut 2 sheets at once. But because my paper might not have been in the same spot twice, I don't know if it was. I wasn't really looking at the lines of my Stamparatus that carefully. But if you were, you could actually just get these to line up and then just kind of make a pile of these and cut 2 or 3 sheets at once. So, I mean, there's ways to save time. Like I cut 3 pieces of designer series paper at once. I'll show you that paper in a little bit. So let's see. Pretty cool. I mean, I have to, the reason I'm kind of taking my time here is because you have to be over the top of it to line it up. It's really hard to line up at an angle. Thanks for giving each other tips and tricks about crafting on the chat. And hello to all those newbies that came on to watch this. I can't see the comments anymore because I'm intensely trying to line up my butterflies. But I do read all your comments later. I do. I watch my video back and I watch the live chat replay. It's called a live chat replay. Okay, so there we go. Put the top cover on there. And I'm going to roll that through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which is off camera because, you know, I want to be close to the table so you can see my crafts. And that's what I was saying. Be careful with that spring, because I've had it snap back on me so hard that I got a bruise there, like my machine. Metal dies, but if you hold it, it won't snap back on you. Just be careful. Okay, so let's see. Okay, cool. And then I'm just going to mention while I have this out. Okay, we got all our butterflies now. I'm going to mention something that you can't do with the scan and cut, like these. Yeah, okay, these are cool. These cut out the outlines, but check out these dies. And I'll show you what those look like from my box of crafty goodness. But look how cool these are. And they also have embossing dies in the kit. There's lots of dies. I have them taped together because I like to do a couple at once. But you put these on some metal, not metal, but yeah, I guess it's called metal. Metallic, not metallic. Metallic cardstock. And here's some other dies that do some embossing. I'll show you what that looks like. And here's some that does some brick. So there's lots of other dies that come in the Brilliant Wings collection. And those are very hard to get. Those inner details of the butterflies are very hard with the scan and cut. Okay, let's build a card. Now, we want to, here's our samples. Back to our samples. That's how we started this off. We're going to finish building a card. So we take our cardstock. So it's good to have, remember I told you we're starting with the white piece of basic white cardstock, right? And that's how we got to this point. I mean, all that we did to get to this point. So we can take, so you want to use something that coordinates. So this is Calypso Coral, and this is Bermuda Bay. These are card bases, 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. 8.5 by 11 makes, you cut it in half, you score it, it makes 2 cards from one 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Then you take your snail, or seal, not snail, seal. It's rolling adhesive, and you just put some rolling adhesive on there, and I put a little piece in the middle for good measure. See how that's rolling adhesive? And then you want to put that on your card base. Now make sure you do it right side up because I've done it upside down many times. Put that on the front of your card. Put a piece of white in the inside in whatever sentiment you want to say. So this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, that's an A2 card. Okay, there you go. And we'll do an A2 card in Calypso Coral. This is the one I messed up the back for, but you can't see through it. A couple little in the middle for good measure. Okay, rolling adhesive. You can use tear and tape. You can use glue, but I like to use rolling adhesive because then you can peel it off real quick. It does dry tight. I mean, not tight. What's the word? It dries and it hardens, but you can like tear it off if you get to it quickly. So there's that. Now we're going to take our little things and we're going to pop them up on dimensionals. And we'll do the rest of that. We'll do dimensionals. Dimensionals. All right, so we have dimensionals. That's these things. You're going to pop those up. So let's take, so since that has a lot of Bermuda Bay on it already, I would say the Bermuda Bay would look good over there maybe. Or no, let's see. We'll try it. I think that does look good there. And that looks good there. You know why? It kind of looks good like that because it matches the background. And then, of course, you can take your other little ones as accents, but I like to use, I thought that they were too big. Well, maybe you could use one of the smaller ones. Maybe the very small one would work. Something like that. Maybe, yeah, those would work. So then you're going to pop these up. And I have small dimensionals and big dimensionals, so use some of each. So the small dimensionals can hold the bottom of the wings down. You don't want this like you don't want to try to get in your envelope and it gets caught on things when you try to put it in your envelope. When you make your cards. So you got to kind of put dimensionals on the outside. The antenna didn't seem to get caught. And you can put it at an angle if you want, but I thought the ridiculously awesome. I thought for this giant butterfly, it looked good straight up because there was no way to put it at an angle because it was already so huge. But see, like how easy these cards are, because you just have, they're just easy because you just have like this great giant sentiment, and then you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about anything. Got the background has some texture, so it looks like you put in the extra mile, the extra effort. It gives, when someone gets your card, they said, oh, how did they do that, right? That's what you want people to say when they get your card. How did she do that? How did she get all that ink all over in there? And I could have rolled the brayer over the top of it. So for this one, I rolled the brayer over the top of it again and see how it's a much darker background. But for this one, I just went straight with the embossing folder. So now we'll put we can put one of these on there. One dimensional up on there. The dimensionals are sticking in my hand. And one dimensional up on this little one. Let's see. It's going to kind of go out in the margin, isn't it? It has to go in the margin because you don't want to. You don't want it to be bigger than your card or it won't fit in the envelope, but it's going to have to go out to the margin of the card. And then you can do, so when you have butterflies, you want to have things in threes, or not just butterflies. Embellishments in general, you want an odd number. Doesn't have to be 3, just an odd number. So here, this little guy, the way I got him is I punched with the Butterfly Duet Punch, but first I embossed it with the brushed metallic cardstock. Okay? So I embossed this butterfly. Be careful because it will kind of fall apart if you're not careful. So I'll just show you my bucket of crafty goodness because I've already done some of these. Let's see. Should have some gold butterflies in there. Now, I don't know if I have many small. Well, I need to make some small ones. But I have a lot of stuff in this bucket of crafty goodness. And I'll show you how I cut these from the Designer Series paper. So I guess I do need to get another piece of metallic cardstock, which is fine. And then I'll show you the punch. Then I'm going to have to use copper. I'm going to use copper because the gold is missing in action, but copper's works good, right? Okay, so you're going to just get in there and punch some with the Butterfly Duet Punch. So punch an extra little accent so you have an odd number. See? Put it on my card. We'll do another one. And if you want to emboss these butterflies, where'd it go? That's copper. Then just go ahead and make them first and then emboss them. So punch them out and then run them through the embossing machine. You can just emboss them in different ways. Okay, so that's the Butterfly Duet Punch, available now. Annual catalog. Pretty awesome punch for your accents. And we're going to put a little accent on each of these. And then we can use some metallic pearls to top it off. So for these little ones, for these metallic butterflies, oops, you're just going to use the mini dimensionals. And mini dimensional. I got all kinds of stuff sticking on me. Hitchhikers. There you go. And if you want to make more of these, just make an odd number. So if you're going to use more of these, then use 2 more. Don't use 1 more. Don't make it 4. Make it an odd number. I don't know why. I don't know where that design principle came from. Somebody told it to me. Maybe my wise friend Kathy, who's a graphic designer. Somebody a long time ago said to do things in odd numbers. So I've been doing it ever since. So inside my little thing is I have some metallic pearls. I'm not sure if the gold ones are going to match that copper. Yeah, they'll be fine. These are gold metallic pearls. So to top off my cards, I went and did 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. Okay, an odd number of pearls. Okay, and then 3 of these, and then I have one more little thing I did to it. 1. You can use your tweezers for this. 2. 3. You can use your little tweezers or your little take your pick tool to put those metallic pearls in there. Then you take your Wink of Stella. That's the glitter brush. And you brush the glitter over your butterflies. And it really does make a difference. It darkens the ink. It really makes a difference. It gives you the bling on your butterflies. So it's really cool. It makes it. But if you're going to do it to one butterfly, you of course don't need to do it to the metallic butterfly. But if you're going to do it to one, and maybe you can't see that yet, but I'll show you it closer up on the ones that dry. If you're going to do it to one, do it to the other for consistency. And you can wait till the little bit of the glitter dries, and you can do it again. So, and then the more times you do it, and you can even use crystal effects. Crystal effects makes it look like a gel cover on your, or like a wet kind of shiny butterfly. But if you're going to use, like you want it to be more glittery, then just keep going. Do another layer of glitter. This one could use some little revision. What is it called? Revival. I put some alcohol inside these, a couple drops of alcohol, and it revives my Wink of Stella. So now you get to see me crafting in real time how fast that is. And then I'll show you what they look like finished with the Wink of Stella after a couple layers of it's on there. See how shiny. I hope you could see that. These are my original card. Okay, and then there's some with the you can just put a couple small butterflies on the bottom. See, in this case I put 5, and this was the gold cardstock by Stampin' Up, and this one was the copper cardstock, copper foil. It's called copper foil. Nothing on the inside yet, right? Nothing on the inside of these yet. I'm just gonna be putting some white on the inside. Okay, so lastly, I definitely want it to be under an hour, so I have a couple things to show you. So that's the finished cards. That's everything. That's how to make them. You can make a lot of these at once. Very easy. Okay, I want to show you a couple more things. I want to try now that the embossing folder's dry. I want to emboss it in a different color to see what that looks like. This part's already done. So we're just going to get my embossing folder and ink it up. And then I wanted to show you the designer series paper. And all as we wrap things up. So this here is the embossing folder. It's dry now because we've done a lot of crafting. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use, so I already have this color. And I was thinking Magenta Madness. Here's Magenta Madness. We're going to do a little bit of a, see you later, Tony. Okay. And thank you, Yvonne, for staying up late and watching me. All right, so here we go. We're going to open the Magenta Madness. The sponge brayer is what I was trying to say. This is a sponge brayer. Okay, we're just going like that. The first time just to make sure I don't mix too many colors, like, yeah, that's the right color. Okay, just making sure, because I keep mixing colors. I'm going to use my Magenta Madness, and I thought it'd be fun to ink this up, because then I can use the designer series paper, the colors of designer series paper that came out of the butterflies. I mean, I'm going to show you the paper. I'm not going to actually die cut them. I just want to show you. I have some Magenta Madness butterflies, and I tried to use them with this background, the Calypso Coral, and they didn't look right, even though it says it's a coordinating color. It just didn't look right. Magenta Madness background with a Calypso Coral butterfly, or vice versa. So now I want to make a Magenta Madness background with the machine, with the embossing machine. And then I'm going to put a Magenta Madness butterfly on it. See, we're going to close that. Oops, it needs some more on the top. It needs some more ink up there. Actually, I could just move my paper down here. Let's move my paper down. There we go. Looks like it could use some on all the corners. I don't think I inked this up very well. Or either that or my time for re-inking, huh? Time for re-inking my... All right, that's enough. We're only doing one of these. We're just doing this as an experiment. Because I've been meaning to do it. And why not do it with my crafty friends live? So there we go. Lots of hitchhikers on this one. And we open up our machine. Put that closer. And we get our plate. Our bottom plate, right? Our embossing folder and our top plate. That's all you need for that one. And we're going to roll it through. And there's a punch in the back. And if it doesn't roll through, because you got to do it at an angle. I mean, try not to make them go in at the same exact. Make the edges a little bit staggered and it rolls through better. See? Oh, no, you know why it's not rolling through? Duh, I forgot to put the back down. Had nothing to do with that, but that is a good tip anyhow. The back of my machine wasn't down. It had no place to go. No place to go. It had, the back was shut. I amuse myself sometimes. Okay, let me put this on the floor to make some room for off my table. All right, so let's open it up and see how the Magenta Madness card looks. Ooh, very cool. Very cool. Now let's get the other cards to kind of compare that, right? Now, because it didn't ink up as much as I wanted it to on the bottom, then you take your sponge brayer and you go over it again. But there's no substitute for getting the ink to go into the nooks and crannies while it goes through the folder, because then it's like this whole like, oh, how did they do that, right? But then you can still ink it up and get some darkness later and do the edges if you want. Later, I've already set my ink pad. I'm just using whatever is left on the sponge brayer. That's what I'm using. I'm not re-inking it because we're just experimenting. And then I would put this on a Magenta Madness background or on a Bermuda Bay background, right? Oh, whichever background card I still have here. We'll just try it on both here. Let's try it on a Bermuda Bay. Okay, good. And let's try it on a Magenta Madness background. Okay, better. I like that better. And then what I would do is take my little bucket of crafty goodness and I would get some of those Magenta Madness butterflies I told you about that came from the Designer Series paper, and now they're going to look right. See, now they look right on that background. And so will the other colors. I mean, I can use, here's a Misty. Well, here's a, this one has a Mint Macron, and like I can use the Magenta Madness, and now all that matches. Pretty cool. So I'm happy with how that came out. And then, of course, some little accents. I would do some little copper butterflies as accents. So there you go. And now I'm going to show you the paper, and we're done. The paper that I cut these butterflies from is part of, it's on sale now as of, while supplies last. This isn't going to be, the Butterfly Brilliance and the Brilliant Wings dies are going to be in the next catalog. This is going to be in our next annual catalog in May. So you're getting to buy them early. But this paper is while supplies last. This will be available until May or while supplies last. But look at this. The die, remember that die? You can cut through 3 pieces of Designer Series paper at once with this die. So that's fantastic. And that's not the only paper there is. The other paper is, I'll just show it all to you. How about that? You get 48 sheets in a pack. Let's pull this out. I think you get 8 of each. Okay, I'm just going to flip through it and show you the cool designs. Yeah, you probably get 8 of each. Look at that ombre effect. Here's the next piece. Look at that nice. Okay, the coordinating colors are Basic Black, Bermuda Bay, Blushing Bride, Calypso Coral, Just Jade, Magenta Madness, Mango Melody, Mint Macron, Misty Moonlight, Poppy Parade, So Saffron, and Whisper White. Loads of coordinating colors. Look at these fantastic butterflies. These I would probably use the scan and cut for. In fact, I need to do that next. Get some of those off my scan and cut, because look how tiny they are and how cute. But also they make good little diaper folds when you have beautiful patterns like that. Okay, here's another piece. Did I show you the back of that one? I think that's the back of that one. And that's the front of that one. And I think that was all the... Did I get all the... That was all the paper. And then I have another project that I made with that paper using the many messages dies. This is the ombre piece of paper you just saw. And this is the little metallic pearls on there. This is the curvy keepsake die, curvy keepsake box die. This is the many messages die bundle. And you saw how I made the butterflies. That's me sponge coloring. And then just to show you what I'm up to, I'm making cards, but I prepare my cards first by making the backgrounds. Okay, like you put these on the card bases that match, right? Some whisper white inside. You make some card bases, and you make some places for your sentiments. And again, because of the way I like to mass produce, I just have this whole pile of sentiments ready to go. Like here, thank you for your kindness. That's from Dandy Garden. Or here, welcome to the team from my new team members for the new papered chefs, because a lot of people joined during celebration. Here, the good things in life are better with you. Bada boom. That's from Butterfly Gala. Here's many messages. Someone's going through a hard time. Be brave, be strong. Here, sympathy card. Sorry for your loss. That's from the Paper Pumpkin Kit. Thank you card for a customer order. Bada boom. Thank you card for a customer order. Thank you very much. See what I'm saying? Get your stuff, get your things ready. These are definitely going to coordinate because they're made from Bermuda Bay ink, right? You make your bucket of crafty goodness from all your stamps. Like this is Poppy Parade. This is Calypso Coral. This is me just stamping onto some designer series paper. Get all your things ready. Put all your butterflies in a tray. Here's some really detailed ones. You got to use glue to attach these. Attach those kind of butterflies. If the paper doesn't cut all the way through, you can sort of emboss with those. But then I figured out that I needed some wax paper to cut them all the way through. Punch out some extra butterflies with the Butterfly Duet Punch, and you're ready to go with making all your cards. So, to wrap things up, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to use the Butterfly Brilliance stamp set that is newly released on March 2nd in coordination with the ridiculously awesome stamp set from our annual catalog that was designed by Rhonda Wade, $1 million sales achiever at Stampin' Up, another demonstrator. I hope you also understand how the dies help you cut out a lot of these at once, making instant embellishments for your cards. And I hope you enjoyed the technique of using sponge brayers and the blending brushes for coloring in embossing using the embossing folders. Okay, use this technique with whichever embossing folders and stamp sets you have and make some cards to brighten people's days. That's all for now. This is the Paper Chef. Thank you all for watching me live and have a great evening.